And after getting introduced to an angry person walking by for the 50th time this week, doxing. And this is not about kanny, dorcz, or wristi, kinters, or bearing, the ultimate bear of all bears, getting doxed. Totally unrelated. And waiting for the next person to start screaming at the top of their lungs. One of the things I'm very good at doing is telling someone straight to their face a completely accurate, true statement, this is a Microsoft joke, that is utterly worthless to them if they want to use it against me. One of those things is my addresses. Plural. One of the things I've learned to do is look for paper streets all over, everywhere, in every city I've ever been in, because I'm fascinated by it. I was taught how to make maps when I was younger. I grew up with a paper street directly in front of my house, which meant we technically had two addresses. Any corner home, or house that just happens to have one of these things, can get something delivered there if somebody wants to be strict about it. And in the computer age, everyone is strict. See also me sitting in my tent and giggling while the UPS driver showed up with a package by walking up a trail that I had very carefully put Burma shave signs on so he'd know the address, and he literally looked at his thing and said, "This is literally the address of where the building was." And I said, "Technically this is one of the buildings, the other one's directly behind me. You can see a pipe sticking up out of the ground." That was an area that had a landslide about 20 years ago. That was before it was found out that that landslide had covered a dioxin spill on the same hunk of property. So there's a road platted, listed, that no one's ever going to be able to use because it's a landslide area. Most of you may not know this. One of the reasons Portland has Forest Park is not mechanically stable enough, unless you put a lot of work into it, which means only rich people will do it, to be able to put buildings in place. And a bunch of environmentalists, as we call them now, or mostly just preservationists, decided to take that entire hill range up there and turn it into one of the largest, if not the largest, within city limits parks on Earth, because you couldn't put a building on it without it falling down the hill. See also the other place that I've camped at. I'm a homeless person. I camp at the edges of society, not outside of it, because throwing away this infrastructure is stupid. I'm using it now to upload this video. But let's talk about paper streets and Fight Club. Getting the UPS guy to show up at the location in front of my tent, because I didn't lie about the address, but it's not a building and there's no road there. That wouldn't have worked about 50, 60 years ago unless somebody had remembered it on their paper route or something, which I remember when I was a kid having a paper route for a very short period of time because I hate paper routes. But anyway, let's get on with this. Dear everybody out there that thought it was clever to dox me over a year ago, did you like walking into a house that was... Did you like walking into the safe house used by the U.S. government's witness protection program and finding out why it's a very, very hidden federal location? Did that work out well for you? Did it get under your skin? The only thing hard about all of this, being able to flagrantly make sure I leave clues around, is watching the reaction of people, usually on video camera, sometimes during an interview in a building somewhere, as they find out that they went to absolutely the worst location they could go to. The best one I've ever done was getting someone to go to the back area of a building and finding out going into it was a bad idea because of the dogs. Very large dogs. Now, why am I bringing this up? It's called salting, or chaff and winnow, or dozens of other names. Chaff and winnow is the most appropriate one. To all of you out there that think you have my docs, did you actually go through with it? Because I haven't heard from some of you for a long time. Now, am I saying this to defend myself or deal with something? No, I haven't had any threats of doxing for a long time. But I do know that it's a load of fun being able to do the following trick. This isn't really a reveal, but it's an example. You can go ahead in many states, because they really want real estate brokers, and declare yourself a real estate salesman. You just have to claim to own property. and that property happens to be under 50 feet of dirt, that's perfectly fine too. Especially if the actual owner says you're allowed to be the realtor for it, because he's not really going to sell it, he's just keeping it for collateral. And you very carefully submit your information to a real estate brokerage company mapping page, so that when people stupidly look up the address you accidentally left on your website, they find themselves looking at an evaluation of a building. It's a nice little cottage, without doing an image search and finding out that it's from a movie. I try to leave clues. I'm a little like the Illuminati, only I'm really playing a joke on people. And then I get the email alert saying someone visited the page. They didn't log in. Here's their IP address, MAC address, and all the other data we could find. So, let's review. It doesn't work very often. I only have control over about 60 servers. They're all very obviously under my control, or at least not a legitimate place to go to. But when a website is so desperate to sell everybody's information when you visit it that they'll email you the IP address and MAC address of somebody who didn't use a proxy, so that you can make sure that you know who you're dealing with when they come after you. And why am I doing this? I've been asked to do videos on this subject before. How do you do this? How do you do these things? It's called social engineering. You trick people into going somewhere they shouldn't. Message to doxers. Are you really sure you have their docs? Are you being aimed towards a safe house where they take people who are in the witness protection program? Or just the county sheriff's favorite daughter's house? Or a location owned by a person who's ex-military or ex-CIA, or just somebody who does not want to be harmed and is hiding? Or even better, the local drug cartel guy, because everybody knows where he's living, nobody goes near him, and you start cruising by and find out that he doesn't like that. Don't put your real information out there. Don't put out fake information unless it has a nasty consequence for the person who would follow it. Make sure you don't put it out as you. Make sure it's accidentally maybe associated with you, so you have some plausible deniability. Don't do anything that'll hurt anyone. I'm not advocating that. But do take advantage of the fact that the real estate business in Portland, Oregon, or many other cities is so desperate to get you to use stuff on the promise that you might give them money that they'll send you IP and MAC address data. Just a thought. And to all of you out there who dig and dig and dig the way I do, have you ever thought of using a coffee shop because it's going through a ton of hardware and tracking is almost impossible? Or did you do it from your house? Again. This week. To the choculator in Melbourne, stop Googling me. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.